Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss why India is lagging in indigenous defense production. India figures nowhere on the list of arms exporters, while our enemy number one, that is China, has progressed to the rank of fifth largest exporter in the world. India is the third largest spender on military and second largest arms importer. This means India is almost entirely dependent on foreign suppliers for its defense needs, which is not a good scenario, particularly when we are faced with a looming possibility of a war with China. In the agenda today, we will try to analyze and understand the situation with two experts, retired Group Captain of Indian Air Force MJ Augustine Vinod and Dr. Ravi Gupta, who has served as Director Public Interface at the Defense Research and Development Organization, which works under the Ministry of Defense. But before we begin our conversation, let's have a look at this small report.
At a time when India is staring at a possible military confrontation with China, there are concerns regarding the lack of adequate progress in India's defense modernization. There is a big mismatch in this area between India and China. While China is way ahead in indigenous defense manufacturing, India is still heavily dependent on foreign companies for meeting its defense and security needs. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, China has now become the world's fifth largest arms exporter after US, Russia, France and Germany. The latest list of the 25 largest arms companies in the world released by the institute features 4 China's state-owned entities. Of them, 3 figure in the top 10. This clearly highlights the rapid military modernization taking place in China, as well as growing Chinese arms exports to countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh and Algeria. In comparison, India is the world's second largest arms importer despite being the third largest military spender. The government of India has been saying that it is laying emphasis on increasing indigenous manufacturing to such a level that the country is able to export equipment. In this regard, an ambitious Make in India program was also launched 6 years back, but the situation has not changed much. Many experts feel that the biggest hurdle in stepping up defense production has been the policy of allowing mainly the government-owned entities in the sector. It is being emphasized that allowing of private companies could lead to a surge in defense production. After all, the heavy import of defense equipment not only makes the country dependent on foreign vendors, it also leads to exodus of high amount of currency. Bureau report.
Let's welcome our guest Dr. Ravi Gupta and Group Captain Vinod. Welcome to the program, sir. So I'll begin by asking Dr. Ravi Gupta about the latest figures which show that, the latest list which shows that China has become the fifth largest exporter of defense hardware, while India still continues to be the second largest importer of the military assets. What do you say on this?
See, what you are saying is absolutely correct, except that in the recent data which has come out from SITI, it seems that India is now the world's third largest importer. But that apart, because for a long time India has remained on top of the list, the world's largest importer. And irony is that India is a country when it became independent, and India has every potential to become world's number one exporter of arms. So we have to look why is it so. Where things went wrong, and things began to go wrong right from the beginning, right from the early days of independence or even before independence. We were too much dependent on the advice of foreigners. That is one reason. Second reason is corruption. Corruption is the most malignant disease in our country, which has been eating away all our resources. So these two are the primary reasons. the country began, the moment we thought of, producing or going for self-reliance and all, the first scam was the jeep scam. And then since then, there is a series of scams. You open any big ticket defense procurement, and it is colored with some kind of a scam or the other, right? Till the recent one, the August of
But
that
Dr.
time.
Ravi Gupta, the scams took place in imports or the procurement. I am
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
why our indigenous capabilities were not developed.
Correct, very right. So when the desire is to import, because import gives something kickback. So there is a deliberate attempt to sabotage India the self-reliance. I'll tell you how the thing started. A few years, less than a year before our independence, there two foreign experts were called in. The same people from the same country which had ruled us for 200 years. And their advice, they give a long list of advice. Of course, there is no harm in calling an advisor. They give a long list of advice. The report is still secret. But in that report, there was on one hand, the advisor speaks of steps to be taken. Why India should become self-reliant. At the same time, it also warns India, literally warning, that don't try to become too much self-dependent. Otherwise, your military will suffer. Everything will suffer. You import from us. What was the result? The outcome was 1948, an organization called Defense Science Organization was set up with the aim of making our country self-reliant in defense. But what was the role given to it? For 10 years, up till 1958, the only role given was that of advisory. And the advice was, that was the choice of the people sitting at the top, whether to accept the advice or not to accept the advice. So that was the state of affairs. 10 precious years lost because there was a deliberate attempt that, okay, we don't want actually, the reason is we will go on importing and go on receiving whatever is coming along with that.
Okay.
And since then, the thing has, see, what happened in spite of all these problems, 1960s, a project was sanctioned for development of anti-tank missiles. 400 firings were done of this purely indigenous. There was absolutely no material, no advice from abroad. It was totally indigenous, our neighbor. And what happened? At the end of the day, out of these 400, 100 were formed by the military itself. Army was happy. And we thought that now it is the thing induction. They entirely, just 180 degree opposite was done. The government decided to import a plant from French government. A company called Bharat Dynamics Limited was set up. Our project was stage closed. A successful project where the product has been developed, demonstrated more than 400 times, and it was shut down. So that is a state of affairs. That is one example. I can give you so many examples. The whole evening can be spent.
I'll give you a chance to give us more examples, but I want to go to Group Captain Vinod. How do you explain that India is not able to figure in the list of exporters even?
Ajay ji, thank you. I'm a lot in agreement with what sir is saying. There is, I have no doubt in my mind. But I'll tell you something very, दो तीन चीजें मैं, I'll open करके बता देता हूँ.
Yeah.
In whether there is corruption or not, इसमें कोई doubt नहीं. संदेह आपने Bofors में देख लिया है. We have enough things that came out, even till the recent example that he quoted. But also, हमको अपने गिरेबान में भी देखने की जरूरत है. Many a time, I mean, I have worked very closely with the DRDO, and many projects that DRDO has done, really, they measured up to the requirement. But there are many projects that have done better, and some real good projects, but it was delayed, and sometimes I think it was delayed because we bit more than we could chew, or we had operational requirement which far outreach that time's capability. We were not realist, I would say. ये अभी 2-3 मेजर प्रोजेक्ट आप देखेंगे, आप ओआर हमने बनाया कि हमें ताजमहल चाहिए और हमें चार दीवारी खड़ा करने की कैपेबिलिटी नहीं थी. So how do we go about achieving something which is unachievable ab initio? I always keep
No,
saying this, Ajay ji. Yes.
maybe Gupketi Vinod, that may be because there is a view that all our eggs were kept in the same basket. That means the government entities only will manufacture defense equipment. Would that be the reason?
Precisely, I was coming. I उसी पे आ रहा था. Now, if you notice, let me give you a couple of examples. Tata Advanced Systems has come up well. Adani's on drones are coming up very well. Adani's defense is coming up very well. Could they have not come up in some 20, 30 years ago and given some kind of competition to HAL or DRDO? Something like a Predator, our company, the drone company is manufacturing or working towards manufacturing. Could we have imagined that 20 to 30 years ago? We couldn't have. Because the environment didn't exist at that time. Everything was license Raj or everything was state controlled. So there has been a systematic issues, I would say. Policy paralysis was there. It was state control because thoda sa left leaning raha hai. Technology was there, brain was there, but it was not being nurtured and they were getting exported to America and NASA or wherever. We couldn't hold on to them. And इसमें मैं थोड़ा बहुत जो responsibility armed forces का भी रखता हूँ. वो लोग हमें मेरा tweets देखिएगा इसके बारे में. You will notice I have written on there, we keep changing the goalpost. The sir will agree with me. By the time we reach 4 kilometers and DRDO produces something which is 4 kilometers, goalpost is changed to 5 kilometers.
Right.
अभी उनके पीछे पड़ जाओ. Now, eventually, who benefited? A French company or a British company or some other company benefited.
I think
and there has been ulterior motive. I'm totally in agreement with them.
I think Dr. Ravi is hinting at that only, that there was a deliberate attempt to, change goalposts for the DRDO others, so that you can go for inputs. Dr. Ravi,
Absolutely,
is that right?
sir. आत्मनिर्भर भारत जो है ना इस मामले में is exceptional. Make 2 is exceptional. But couldn't we have come up with this kind of thought process earlier?
Yes.
Make
Right.
2 or Atmanirbhar Bharat itself can change.
Right. Now, Dr. Ravi Gupta wants to say something now.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
मैं आप कैप्टन अगस्तिन की बात से मैं सहमत हूँ. इस बात से मैं सहमत हूँ कि हमने पहले क्यों नहीं किया. देखिए, मैंने यही कहा कि there was a deliberate attempt to sabotage self-reliance, to sabotage Atmanirbhar Bharat. And one reason is also that after 200 years of British slavery, we were too much, I beg to remain your most humble servant, sir.
Right.
Nobody has guts to challenge the government or to challenge the Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, that, bloody, what are you doing? Why are you creating an organization giving advisory role? A missile is ready. Why are you importing from the French? Why are you setting up a plant, new company? Why don't you set up the company? Let DRDO do it. Because already all those 400 missiles were manufactured in DRDO itself. You will be shocked to know that after this successful project, there was an attempt to shut down DRDO. There are black and white orders that this DRDO laboratory has to be wound up and merged with BDL, and there they make a kind of a department in BDL.
Very shocking.
I will ask certain questions. Okay, which country? We have been following too much of the British pattern. Now, see, in British pattern, in British Army, Navy, Air Force, who takes a call on what is required? It is the professionals. It is the Army, Navy, or Air Force professionals. In India, is it so? Certainly not. The final call, capital procurement, till date, only this 2020, the revenue procurement has been given to CDS. CDS has been, creation of CDS has taken more than 70 years. Now, till date,
earlier it used to be. By the
I'm the
bureaucrats.
Minister of Defense.
By
I said,
bureaucrats.
I said, what does Babu know? What does the Babu know about the defense procurement? Let the army people decide what kind of missile they want. Let the army people decide what is the tank required. What that Babu is doing there, sitting there? He has no business to command. But
Right.
final decision is his. And in the process, these armed forces are kind of उनको बदनाम किया जाता है कि साहब देखो इन्होंने गोल पोस्ट मैं कहता हूँ आप मुझे बताइए क्या कोई मिनिस्टर आर्मी का जनरल उसके पास इतनी ताकत है कि एमओडी के ऑर्डर को मना कर देगा अगर उसको कहा जाएगा कि तुम्हें ये खरीदना है बेचारे को चुपचाप खरीदना पड़ेगा अगर इनमें इतना ताकत होती इतनी पावर्स इनके पास होती तो वन रैंक वन पेंशन इतने साल तक घटता नहीं रहता अब का हो गया होता फैसला इसका because people who are sitting there, they are not, professional decisions are not taken. Why? Another question I will ask, who kept the private sector out of the purview of defense? For 2001, the BJP government came, NDA government came, and they took a decision that private sector will be allowed to manufacture the complete system. Even then, the Babu said, no, you can't trust these private companies for the ordnance and for the explosives and all that. So, Pinaka was the first major system which was given to a private company, but the decision was taken that the explosive part, the ammunition, will still remain with the ordnance factory. Now, who is controlling the ordnance factory? People saying, okay, DRDO.
I think armed forces have been having this reference for ages that Babus take the decision when they should be. Maybe a group captain can answer this.
Sir, अभी मैं क्या बताऊं?
You belong to armed forces, na?
From the topic which we are discussing, we have gone into a larger subject. See,
these are the root causes.
Let's talk about why this problem started.
Yeah.
हमको अपने जूती तले रखने के लिए अंग्रेजों ने ये एक सिस्टम क्रिएट किया, सिविल सर्विसेज बनाए. Now, do we have the guts?
No, they created the civil services system, but the government, successive governments empowered those civil servant babus, na, to take such decisions.
It suited them, sir.
Yeah.
It suits them even today.
Okay, let me ask now. This government took a decision in 2014 about Make in India program.
Yeah.
So, Group Captain, I may ask you, what is the status of that, particularly if you take the defense sector in consideration?
Sir, मैं आपको इसका एक बहुत simple जवाब दूंगा. Very simple answer I will give. It is a step in the positive direction, and it is a graph which is in the upward curve.
No, has it yielded?
Mathematics tells.
It started 6 years back. Has it yielded results? What is the status of that?
No, not. In my opinion, it could have done much faster, much better in 6 years. But it is in spite of, like sir has said, in spite of the जो रुकावट ये पैदा करते हैं ना रास्ते में, in spite of that we have moved forward. Now, with this problem, can we continue to move forward? Tomorrow the government changes, status quo will happen, sir. Unless it is addressed systemically, it cannot change. I mean, sir, though DRDO ke part, and with all due respect, DRDO could have done much, much better than what they achieved.
Okay, Group Captain, you earlier mentioned that our defense production has been basically state controlled and communist leaning. But if we compare it with China, China's defense, manufacturing is also state controlled, everything, entirely, and it's also a communist country, but they have done very well, and why not we?
Sir, you are going by pure numbers of money. Maximum export of China is what? An AK-56 rifle ka copy. They have not made a single weapon or a single aeroplane without doing reverse engineering, not even one. You take any aeroplane for that of theirs, it is a reverse.
But we could also do it, na? Why not?
No, we don't do it.
Why not?
Sir, he will tell you.
Group Captain, we have been having this system of transfer of technology for ages. So we could have used that transfer of technology to our advantage.
Sir, मेरे मुंह न खुलवाएं।
I want you to
तो ज्यादा
open ना
बेहतर
मुंह
है।
खुलवाइए।
देखो, हमारे कबर्ड में बहुत सारे ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी पड़ा है। डीआरडीओ के कबर्ड छानेंगे, आपको 50 के तरह ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी मिल जाएंगे। उस ट्रांसफर ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ हमने किया क्या?
वही मेरा क्वेश्चन है, that's what I am asking.
No, one day to my horror, I discovered somebody transferred something long time ago. It was still lying in the cupboard. तो ये बंद बुंद के रखा हुआ है। This is the systemic problem, Ajay ji, I am telling you, which English left with us, so that issues.
Okay, Dr. Ravi Gupta wants to say
Only
something.
the faces changed.
Yes, I will like to come in.
Yeah.
The
First of
system
all,
remained
yes,
the same.
I agree with Mr. Captain Augustine कि बहुत सारा टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर इंडिया को हुआ है, इंडिया को हुआ है, डीआरडीओ को नहीं हुआ है. And if the audience may not be aware of the structure of MOD. The Ministry of Defense has the Department of Defense under which the Army, Navy and Air Force come. Then we have Defense of Defense R&D, and then we have a Defense of Department of Defense Production. Now, anybody know that till 1978, as late as 1978, even DRDO was part of, it was a small unit under the Department of Defense Production. We had to report to the Secretary Defense Production and then to Defense Secretary. So these were the clutches, these were the shackles. Then the DRDO was shackled down. And secondly, the technology transfer takes place to the production agency, not to DRDO. DRDO is involved to the, things are known in black and white. I have the document. I am writing a book already written, and I have mentioned these things in very detail. There is black and white evidence that all the technology transfers, DRDO was told you will be doing only what you are asked to do. You cannot do more than that. Even I said DRDO did not want technology transfer. The first missile was produced, it was absolutely indigenous. From ab initio, we always believed in ab initio design. Next step, what happened? I did from the Air Force, item from the Air Force. There was a surface-to-air missile. It was imported again from abroad. We wanted, okay, if you want an indigenous missile, we will design from the scratch and do it in the right time. Why? Because this kind of, reverse engineering is all the more difficult. Because what the MOD wanted from us was that you design individual parts as if they have to be replaced part by part. एक प्रोजेक्ट को आपने उस मिसाइल का बनाना है, उसमें फिट करना है.
Okay, we are Dr. Ravi Gupta. We are running out of time. I want to ask Group Captain about what you said about that the restrictions put on DRDO. Brief comments, Group Captain.
Sir, let me tell you something. The research organization, like Sir said, is not a production agency. That our viewers need to understand. They are the custodians of knowledge. They are the custodians of technology. But was it used properly? Was there policy to use that properly? Recently, that only after the new government has come, the technology has been opened up to other industry outside government controlled agencies. You're getting my point?
Yeah, right.
Now they are giving it to industry to make. So these custodians sat on the knowledge, sat on the research that they did, that somebody will or some other government organization will, take it up. A 7 to 5 or a 9 to 5 organization nahi kar payega. It has to be people with passion,
Right.
People who are, running the chabuk, working day and night, which is industry.
Yeah, we are run out of time. I think we will have another discussion on this because this is a very important and interesting subject. But as you mentioned that there have been restrictions on our capabilities, which I see. Maybe the government will now amend that and relax, and so that we can catch up and do better. But thank you both of you for participating. Yeah, you want to say something?
Can I? Yeah. I would like to draw attention.
Yeah.
to what Honorable Prime Minister said when he took charge for the second time. He said, डेमोक्रेसी ने मेरे 5 साल बर्बाद कर दिए, अब मैं अगले 5 साल बर्बाद नहीं करने दूंगा। आत्मनिर्भर भारत अच्छा काम कर रहा है, मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि और अच्छा काम करेगा। डेमोक्रेसी को बाहर निकालने की आवश्यकता है।
Let us hope so. Let us hope so. We are all hoping and wishing that we do well. Thank you both of you for participating as usual.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.